If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started.
We'll kick this off. So we wanted to talk a little bit today about content consistency. And this is a question that comes up all the time. And so, what does it take to be consistent? And how do we record and how do they record? And, publishing. I mean, I guess we could kind of talk about several different, parts of this as far as consistency. So I just wanted to kind of kick off with consistency in general and say that for me, number one, for any successful person that I've known or studied or read about or admired or looked up to, I believe consistency is the key quality trait amongst every single person, really. It's the core of it. And now the thing is that people do achieve results at different times in their journey. Some achieve it quick, some it takes 10, 15, 20 years. I love the term. It took me 20 years to be an overnight success. I think the first time I heard that was Dave Ramsey, maybe, because he talked about his journey of going bankrupt and failing and, losing everything and then just starting over. And you think about what he's built today, but it took 20 years to get up to that point. So everything he talks about, looking at your personal finances, consistency, and cutting up the credit cards and paying cash. Paying cash, can you imagine, think about this, especially, if you use credit cards as a major part of your business. Now, it doesn't, you can also listen to different experts in this space. Robert Kiyosaki absolutely loves debt. That's one of the first things he'll promote. And then you've got Dave Ramsey on the other side of it that despises debt. And think about building up your business from cash today. Imagine, I would assume probably everybody in this room uses some form of credit, whether that's a credit card, a line of credit, a bank loan, a home equity loan. It could be, just think of all the different things that you use for credit. Even car loans. Think about it. If you have a business car, a company car, is it financed? All of that. Think about what it took Dave Ramsey 20 years to build that business through cash. Now, you talk about that is consistency. That's the only way I would know you could do that, just staying consistent. But because that is a much longer road, he had a much longer vision at the end of it, and that's what his business was going to be. And so he had to stay consistent at that. And so consistency in amongst anything, especially video, is going to determine our success. It just comes at different times, and I believe if it really comes down to your willingness to put up with that consistency as well, because I do believe if you stay consistent on something long enough and you are making constant improvements, you are studying your business and your craft and your expertise, and you are working on it every single day, I do believe there will be a point that you will achieve success from that. Now, people's definition of success is also different. For some, that could be 50,000 a year. Some it could be 100,000 a year. Some could be 500,000 a year. Some it's 1 million, and so on. But so what is your level of success? And what is the goal that you're working towards? I think those are some of the things that, of course, you want to determine up front and think about, and then you can also, that helps you reverse engineer. I love the term reverse engineering because it's kind of like starting with a goal in mind, and then you work backwards from there. So you break everything down in basically a series and a process to where it makes it a lot more achievable. It's the old saying of how do you eat an elephant? Well, it's one bite at a time. And so, you can get through it. It's just going to take consistency and smaller goals to get up to that point. Now, the thing is that I also like Simon Sinek's book, The Infinite Game, which he talks about, the goal is really always kind of moving. If you're in it for the long run, the ultimate the ultimate achievement is just to keep moving forward. The infinite game is to never really have a finite goal. I mean, you do set goals and you want to achieve certain milestones, but ultimately the goal is always moving because you're constantly moving. But if you hit it a month later or you hit it a month earlier, that doesn't determine your success. It is basically becomes a benchmark or a milestone to start moving towards the next goal and the next opportunity. And so, but all of that comes with consistency. And it's just a matter of, I believe the successful versus the unsuccessful are the ones that did not give up versus the ones that did give up. Now, the other thing is that let's define give up, or some would say quitting or failing. I'm not a big fan of the word failure, because I believe if something didn't work out and you learn something from that, I believe that there's success in a form from learning from something that didn't work. So, I mean, I never want to really fail at something, but I also believe in sometimes if you're not moving in the direction you want to go, or it doesn't fit with what your goals are or what your vision or your values, then there's a way to stop that. Stop that. And so, quitting, failure, those types of terms, I try to stay away from them, especially whenever I'm thinking about it in my own terms. I have to ask myself, does this align with my vision and values of where we're heading, and make a decision. And the thing is that we've talked about it before, about making decisions in the position of power versus the position of desperation. Because when things are going well, and things are going well for us, this is when we're experimenting more, when we're willing to lose a little bit of money or time or energy, because it's going to be easier for us to just get back on track if something does not work out the way we plan for it to work out. So if we're making these decisions and kind of testing things, then we have to determine very quickly whether we want to move forward and implement that or not. And so I don't look at that as starting something and failing. Let's use the example. I'll use the example of the luxury channel, because we had that. That's come up in a few discussions. For us, the things that we were testing and experimenting with, we felt like maybe a separate channel, for luxury was the way to go. And so we put a lot of time, energy, and effort, first of all, to kind of research that up front and figure out the best strategy to do that. Then we launched the channel, and we started to follow our plan. Within 60 days, now we had not gone over like $2 million in calls from the channel. So that's the reason we thought about starting that, was we had not gotten over a $2 million budget call. Basically, every time somebody called in, it was usually $1.5 million or less. Look, nothing to shake a stick at, but at the same time, it's just like, okay, well, if we keep getting calls and everyone's budget's $1.5 million, well, first of all, the real answer is that none of our content really featured anything over $1.5 million. So that was really the first problem. It wasn't the fact that we weren't, we couldn't do it. We just thought maybe it's a separate audience, but that wasn't the case. The thing is now, with the luxury channel, within 60 days of featuring, we started featuring I think the $4 million property was the highest, or no, we had a 5 or 5.5 on there. Within 60 days, we put 2 deals under contract, one at $4.5 million and one at $9 million. So those, of course, were the 2 biggest deals. So within 60 days, it looked like that this was the right move, that it was the right way to go. And you think about that, you put $13.5 million under contract on 2 properties. We're like, holy cow, we're onto something, right? We've cracked the code on luxury now. Well, both of those deals fell out of contract, and they got executed. When it came down to earnest money and everything else, both parties became extremely flaky. Actually, to this day, they disappeared. One of them still owes $90,000 because he went past the option period, and then just disappeared on us. For the $9 million, he had to put first of all, they just accepted $90,000 was going to be the earnest money. So that was unusual at that time, especially for that size of property. But he went past the option period, so he's still legally obligated, and then just completely ghosted us, and that just fell out of contract. Same thing with the $4.5 million buyer. So I don't know, did we attract like two completely shady characters? Possibly. And did we close on those deals? No, we didn't. Well, after that, we weren't getting calls from that channel. We set up separate phone numbers, separate emails, and that's the other thing. If you're going to test things and you really want to understand the true outcome of it, you need a different funnel system for that. You need different tracking. You need ways to be able to differentiate if it's working or not. And so we had set up a different phone number and a different email and everything to monitor that. Now, we from there, nothing really happened on the channel. We continued to produce content. Now the thing is with our regular channel, that started to pick up. We started to see some increased activity. So did it now just become like a funnel for finding the main channel? Were people going to our main channel now and then contacting us through that? Well, we weren't getting more $4 million properties, but we just saw increased numbers to the channel. Unfortunately, YouTube does not have, you can track certain things, but like direct traffic and where it's coming from and things like that, or even from other channels, which they should do this. So it should be very easy for you to see the direct traffic coming from a different channel. That would be pretty cool, but you can't see those types of things. So we don't really know for sure. But ultimately, what it came down to as well is we hit a snag on traveling. We started to travel and get invited to, some speaking events and opportunities, and so then filming, we got caught up, and this ties back into consistency as well. So we fell inconsistent on top of that with the content, and then a lot of the builders and custom homes and things we were working with. We're all in between projects. We had 5 different custom builders we were working with on filming these properties, and every single one of them was just in this little gap of where nothing was going to be done for 60, 90 days as well. So we didn't have anything from that pool. At this time, we reached out to several listing agents, and this was, kind of at the height of the market last year. Reached out to several listing agents to see if we could, co-market and film their properties, and guess what? They were not at the time very interested in working with us at all, right? They had plenty of traffic, things were moving, and so that route didn't work out from that standpoint. Now, if we would have stayed consistent on continually calling agents, I'm sure we could have got something. But again, even trying to do that was kind of an outbound effort, which goes into everything we always talk about, attracting business versus chasing after it, and that is more difficult to do. So basically, we were cold calling agents and seeing if we could help co-market and film properties and things like that. And if at the time being, it just didn't work in our favor for that time. So there are several different factors, but ultimately, we fell behind on consistency and for finding opportunity. And so from there, then I was having a discussion with somebody, and it was actually Jeremy Knight, and who does a lot of YouTube down in Austin. And he said he had a regular to his channel. He had a regular to his channel that bought like a $4 million property without him. And when he found out, of course, he just, Jeremy's the type of guy that he asked him, he's like, what's going on? What happened? How did I miss this? And he said that person told him, well, I didn't know you did luxury, never seen it on your channel. So you never talk about it. Don't feature any properties. And, so I just didn't think that was you. And it was a big aha for him. And to me, it was like that was the defining moment too, to say, okay, why are we trying to divide audiences? What's the issue there? Why do that? We've never really featured it on our primary channel. We didn't even give that a try. And so what made me think of that was a different audience, or that we weren't we needed to show something different or have a separate system for that. And so we're like, okay, so the next property that we were able to publish, we published it on the regular channel just to test out to see what would happen. And it went mini viral. I want to say mini viral for us. And it just blew up. It got 45,000 views within the first 2 weeks. I mean, it just completely shot out of the gates. We got 2 $4 million buyer calls, 2 different buyers at $4 million budgets off that video within the first week. And yeah, it hit. So it was like, okay, well, should we have done that from the first place? Because then we're trying to build up that whole channel on its own, and and learned a lot from that. So, was that channel a failure? I mean, I don't think so, from the fact that I was able to figure out a lot of different things along the way. But now when people ask me, well, should I start a separate channel, this or that or anything like that? I have insight in that now, and I can only instruct on what our experience has been. But otherwise, I wouldn't say that was a failure. Was it not successful? Well, I don't know. It was successful in helping me, again, learn a lot of new things. And then as we tested it with our regular channel, those videos have done well now, and we've posted some of the $1 million plus properties on there, and now we're just creating a separate playlist and building up that content, and it's giving us opportunity. And that video, that it's a $3.8 million house in McKinney, is still cranking out right now. It's still one of our most popular videos as far as view count every 48 hours. I love how if you look in the back-end analytics of YouTube and check out, it'll tell you like your top 3 videos usually within the last 48 hours. It consistently is in there number 1 or number 2. It's been number 1 ever since it's published pretty much, but now one of our other videos that's an evergreen video is starting to have a second wind again, this is why I love basing things off of search, is because that other video is getting a second wind. It's pulling back up, and it's getting a lot more views than even that property now. And you see the analytics switch from suggested and browse to a little bit more search. And so I love suggested and browse, and that's where you definitely want videos to be, and that's going to get you a lot of views. But we know that search is our audience. We know that that's what people are actually searching for. We know that directly. Getting 40,000 views inside of 2 weeks, I can't say that every single one of those viewers was our target audience. And will they ever consider moving to Dallas? I'm not sure. Or do they just like to watch, luxury videos? That could be it too. And we're building a wider audience, so maybe one day. But I know that the people that find us through search is our direct audience. That is people that are actively looking and searching for the information. So I believe that is a longer term strategy. That is the evergreen strategy. When you build videos around search, that's what gives it the opportunity to live forever, because suggested and browse is awesome, but it doesn't necessarily last forever either. Now you can hit it right on some videos too, and they'll stay in the suggested and browse for quite some time. But I do think search will kind of come in there and overtake. So, going back to consistency, it's just it's one of those things where we stayed consistent in that now until we didn't, and then we didn't see much traction there after all either. But I also don't believe we gave it enough time. I believe if we would have stuck on the plan, continually publish and do that, it could have became successful eventually. But at the same time, 2 channels do take twice the work, regardless. Even if you're, it's just 2 different things to maintain. So now that we can publish on the main channel, I think it's just better for overall. Anyways, it's going to help. It's definitely helping on for us to get listings now too, because we're able to show just on one main channel, that we have view counts, we have traffic, we have the audience, we have the buyers. And so that makes it a lot easier now because as we come across more listings, then we have direct proof on the channel as far as the traffic and the opportunity there. So, but it wasn't it was a learning opportunity, I believe, for us, and learned a lot from that. So from there, when it goes back to staying consistent, that's the thing, picking your schedule. Now, when you publish up to about 20 videos on YouTube, that's about the time where your analytics will kind of kick in, or like times to publish and things like that. If you click on the audience tab in the back end of your channel, you'll see, you scroll down a little bit and it shows you exact times to publish. And of course, those are just YouTube telling you whenever the best time to publish is. Well, you look at that and you kind of want to space it out and determine, first of all, am I publishing 1, 2, or 3 or 4 videos a week? Where am I doing that? Now, in the beginning, we played around with all kinds of publishing times and schedules, and we went Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, we went Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. That's what we're on right now, but we did Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We did Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Basically every other day, with the exception of 2 days, because we stayed on a 3 video per week publishing schedule. But we stayed very, very consistent. It goes back to one of the things that I looked at when starting on YouTube. Of course, I looked at my market. There were a couple of other agents on YouTube. And again, a couple of agents in your market, it is not competition. Doing everything else in your market right now, there is a lot of competition. But on YouTube, if there's 2, 3, or 4 agents, that's not competition. And that's not saturation. That's not the game is over. So there was 3 or 4. I want to say 3 or 4 solid agents. One with 7,000 subscribers. One with like 6. Another one with 5 or 4. Another one with 4 or 3. I mean, they had thousands of subscribers. But I do specifically remember the top one at the time had about 7,000 subs. So. But what I looked at amongst all of them is they were publishing 1 time a week. And actually, Chrissy, if you're there, can you pin the podcast up at the top, please?
Yeah, you bet.
Pin the podcast link there. So, and so, they were publishing once a week. And when you're down 7,000 subscribers to 0, I mean. The way I saw it was the only way I could ever have the opportunity to possibly catch them, maybe even pass them up, was to outwork them on publishing. But that's going to take a lot. It's not just I can't just do 1 video a week and hope that maybe I'll go viral. I mean, that could happen, but not likely. So I didn't want to count on that. I could do twice a week, but I still felt like that was probably going to take a little bit too long. So, that's why I made the decision to do 3 per week. And it was, okay, I'm just going to overtake with volume because that's going to get me there a lot faster to get up to the video count, the library, and the more content I publish out. If I have 3 videos compared to 1 video of somebody else, well, that gives me, 2 more times opportunity, or 60, whatever you want to say, 60%, 66% more opportunity to be found that week as well versus somebody else. So just a lot of different factors in there, but I also understood consistency was going to be key. And I do believe right now this is something that if you're doing other forms of marketing, not on social, I still believe, and you're not generating a lot of business from social, I still believe you want to show your consistency on social regardless, because I do think people are vetting agents on social media. So they may come across your marketing in some other form or fashion, but they may go to your Instagram or they may go to your Facebook or something and try to find you there first to see, how active is this person really? Even though you could be definitely working your tail off behind the scenes and doing everything else like that. If you're inconsistent on social, I just think there's a little bit of a risk. I mean, this isn't a proven science. It's just an opinion of mine that that, someone may look at that and say, oh shoot, they haven't posted on Instagram in 3 weeks. I don't know if this is if they're legit. I mean, just something that people may be in their mind these today, and that could be leaning more towards the younger generation too versus some of the older generation. So I think that could be an age thing now, but as well. But I don't know. I think consistency is always going to attract. It's going to give you more opportunity as well. And then, how do you want to do that? Determine your plan. What is that plan going to be? And then you have to make that commitment, right? You have to stick with that. You have to have the discipline to say, okay, if this is what I'm going to do, then I'm going to stick with it. And what I believe is that content, once you make that decision to start to publish content, that has to become a commitment. It has to become a commitment. It has to become a non-negotiable. It has to be put into your calendar, and it has to be worked around. And the thing is as agents, our schedules change every single day. I think at least I do. I try to build in as much consistency as possible, but I still have a lot of variables. I have my set meetings for the week, that happens at the same times, the same days, and things like that. Granted, like today, we had to adjust. We usually do this on Tuesdays, but we adjusted to Wednesdays because we were traveling yesterday. So, we have to have some flexibility, but the main thing for me is that this room still happens, right? The content still happens. Even if I have to make a slight adjustment, it's still going to happen. I can't tell you how many times I've done this room on the road, in hotel rooms and on hotel balconies and in conference rooms and anywhere else. So if I have the opportunity to break away and I can still work it into my schedule, I'll do it. Traveling, even like when we were at a conference in California several months ago, I made a point to take a morning and go out and film so I could do a comparison video, California versus Texas. And first of all, it just gave me a way to really be boots on the ground and show that difference firsthand. But it's just an opportunity to still get out and take advantage of that. And so, but I knew because of traveling, I was going to be gone for several days, and this conference was on the West Coast, and so we wanted to spend a couple of extra days in Newport Beach, which if you're going to be there, you might as well. And so that's the cool opportunity on top of that, is that if you can do something like that, and I think you can do that probably anywhere. I went to Florida, for a conference and filmed, took out one morning to go film so I could do a Florida versus Dallas comparison video there too. So that way, if I'm traveling, I make up ways to still produce content no matter what and stay consistent. Or if I just need to adjust, then I can adjust and still get that content. But if you're going to be filming, consistency is very key. And I do believe in the beginning, when you're starting out, I love batch recording. I think it's very efficient, time efficient. But I believe you've got to get into a serious flow first. And that would almost be even recording a video a day if you can. Now, you don't have to publish a video a day, but let's take YouTube, for example. If you filmed a video per day, again, you don't have to publish a video a day, but if you filmed one, that's going to give you consistency. That's going to give you comfort. That's going to give you confidence. That's going to help you develop a flow and a system. And really, you'll find out if you end up filming 2 or 3 videos in a day, usually the second and the third video are a lot easier to film. They become better, and you have your flow down in your system. And then if you did that the next day, and if you build that up, that consistency and development, that's going to help you get more comfortable and develop that skill a lot quicker, versus if you say, okay, well, I'm going to record once a week or once a month, then especially in the beginning, it's probably going to take you a little bit longer to ramp up in the day. Now, if you block off a whole day and that's what you're going to do, the first few videos you're probably going to have to work through that, and maybe you can get through the whole day. And I'm not saying you can't do it, but I just believe in the beginning it's better to kind of work on a consistency that's more on a day-to-day basis, so you can really kind of develop that muscle quickly. And that makes batch recording, I think, down the road a lot simpler, to where once it becomes more of a second nature to you, you're able to just get out there one day a month, or one day a week, or one day every 2 weeks, and just knock out several pieces of content, no problem. But I do believe that comes with the consistency and the practice up front. So there's a lot of things to it. I just believe in business in general, the consistent ones will always win. The ones that don't give up, or if you bow out, let's say if you stop on something, it's because you made that decision that, okay, this is not going in the direction that I want it to, or I've learned what I needed to learn, and therefore I'm going to shift and adjust. From that point, I don't see that as quitting and but again, I did that on a second channel, so we'll keep that in mind too. If you're starting on just your first channel, then whatever you do, don't quit. Don't quit on that one at all whatsoever. Stick with that first one and make sure it becomes successful. That will come with consistency and time. And the faster you produce content, I believe the faster that will come as well. So you can do one video a week. I just think it's going to take a lot longer to build that momentum. Not impossible, but it's just going to, from what I've seen over and over again, especially with, people that we help out, if you start out slower, it's probably going to grow a little slower. Now, nothing wrong with that either. So it also depends on your life and your business and how this is working in there. Again, for me, this was something that was started from the beginning, and it was all I focused on. So that's the other part of, doing 3 videos a week was very manageable because I, made that commitment first of all, and this is what I focused on 100%. So you also have to evaluate where you're at in your business. If this is just going to be a supplement and an add to your current business that's doing well, then maybe 1 video a week is for you, and you're not worried about turning over a deal in the next 60, 90, or 120 days. You're willing to wait and kind of build that consistency. So again, understand what your goals are. What do you want to get out of it? What do you want from the channel? What do you want from your content? And make those determinations so that you can just stick to that plan, and that will help you stay as consistent as possible. So I'll kind of jump off from there, jump off the soapbox, and I know Justin's time is always a little limited, and so I want to jump over to Justin and ask you, as far as you got, I know you're the least busiest person that I know. So I know you accomplish a lot in your day, but you have a lot going on as well. So what's your scheduling, publishing, or content? Do you block time each week, every 2 weeks, each month? How does that kind of work for you? If you're there.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I got an insane amount of work done. Love your monologues, actually. And I brought up a mutual friend of ours from Viper's Room to hang out and chat. And I think we were just talking in the back channel just about your understanding of YouTube, right? I think if people can sit back and realize that, what you're... Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Can you guys hear me okay? Yes.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Yeah, anyways, I'll just answer your question directly. So my cadence is Thursdays I do all of my recording. So Thursday is what I call media day. So I do my batch shoots every Thursday. So those are like the real type videos I use for TikTok and Instagram. For my YouTube video cadence, I typically try and keep it to Thursdays as well because I'm just very much in video creation, creator mode. My ideas I actually write down on Saturdays. So I have an Asana board where I basically have all of my video ideas. I have what's in pre-production, what's in production, and what's to be posted. My cadence is definitely not 3 a week. I'm really just trying to do 1 a week at this point. I'm trying to get to 3 a week, and I'm actually getting there. One of the struggles that I had for a lot of people, I think, that are trying to create content is they get so many different tools and things, microphones and cameras and DSLRs that, I recently realized that I can shoot all my neighborhood tours with just my GoPro. And I just realized recently that shooting all of my neighborhood tours with my GoPro allows my labeling and editing of those files to be seamless, which means when my editors do it, they know exactly the sequence that I want in my head. because I understand the sequence now. So I've spent the last year, learning from guys like Levi and learning how to make the sauce. I know the recipe, and I feel like I can bang out 3 a week, no problem now. So in terms of how I'm going to move forward from this point, my operations manager is going to help me look at my schedule, and I'm going to try and hack it based on when I'm shooting listings in areas. So I block off an extra hour before or after, or an extra 2 hours, and I just slide in a neighborhood tour video every time I shoot a listing video. And then I have my typical neighborhood tour video that I shoot. So now I can do probably 2 shoots a week, and I'm slowly but surely starting to build up the back catalog of stuff so that I can get to 2 videos a week, and then hopefully 3 videos a week. My plan is to do that within 60 to 90 days. So I come up with my ideas on Saturdays. I typically shoot them on Thursdays, but I'm starting to, add in an extra shoot or 2 a week, because my entire process took me a year to figure this out. But my entire shooting to give it to my editor process, I've got it down from 4 hours to, it takes me about an hour and a half now to shoot a full tour. So I don't know if that helps, Levi.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and that's something else to keep in mind. We've got 2 property tours to shoot on a Saturday, and this is something that I talked about with Travis. Travis is actually going to do those, and he's wanting to up his reel game, his short form content game, and so he's been working on that. But he feels with everything else he's working on, it's hard to kind of like just block that time. And I said, look, go, I said, if you're going to film these 2 properties, these 2 walkthroughs, afterwards, go do a reel in each different room. Like, go to the living room, go to the kitchen, go to the office, go to the master bedroom, go to the, and I said, just film 4 or 5 reels in that property. And then when you go to the next one and film that property, do a reel in every single room. It gives you different backdrops, different views, different angles, and you've knocked out 10 reels minimum. If you did 5 at each property, 10 reels in one day on top of doing 2 property tours. And so thinking about things like that, this is where when people always say, well, I struggle finding the time. Well, if you're out showing properties and you're in that neighborhood and you see that last property and it's still daylight, that's where you have to ask yourself. Or maybe it's before. If you're going to meet somebody at 3 p.m., do you go at 2 p.m. and say, okay, I'm going to take this first hour, since I'm going to be in this neighborhood anyways, why not do a little vlog tour of the neighborhood? Make that video. So should I go an hour earlier? Should I stay an hour later? If I'm closing up that last house. Now, I don't like to, I don't film inside anybody's house without permission. I think there's a different rule of thumb, maybe, and of course this depends on your state, so don't quote me on this. Just doing a quick reel in a bedroom or something to where it's not, significantly intrusive or showing something, showing someone's entire property. I mean, that I might consider. I don't recommend it, but I don't know. I don't know how I even feel about that now that I'm talking about it. Like, if you're inside a property viewing it, maybe I ask you. Justin. Chrissy left. Justin, have you ever just randomly, without permission, like just filmed a reel or something inside like a bedroom or the kitchen area or something, and been like, hey, this is an amazing kitchen. Look at this appliance package, super cool. That's it. Have you done anything like that?
No, never. Yes and no. So I've never done a reel thoughtfully thinking, hey, I'm going to put this out as content around showing a luxury home, but I use my stories as my vlog, right? So if you watch my stories, you see it all the time. I always show insane properties that I'm in, but they disappear in 24 hours. So for me, like, it's just consistent branding that gets that message across. But I sit on the professional standards board in my market, and I can tell you that it's a thing that keeps coming up, where agents are going to other agents' listings and then using them as a marketing tool, like shooting a reel. And I know Miranda Caldwell was on my podcast, good friend of mine through Serhant. She's built an insane TikTok channel doing that, but she has a letter that she actually gets permission from the other agents to do it, and they're totally fine with it if you approach it the right way, or they just say no. So I think I would definitely ask them for permission if you were going to shoot evergreen content that's going to live on your page for a long time.
I agree. We always get permission for the inside. I was just thinking if you set up your camera and you can see like an angle of the stove or something, nothing really defining of anybody's particular house or something, it just kind of gives a different backdrop. But still, I always feel best to just have that permission. Plus, I don't want to hang out in somebody's house anyways to make content. But here, like on Saturday, we have permission, we have appointments, we have access. That's what we're there for. That's the time to, I believe, double up so you can do your long form content and knock out some short form content. It only take you an extra 10 minutes. I mean, think about it. When you get reels down, Justin knows, right? When you get it down, I mean, you can blow through, 10, 15, you can blow through some pretty quickly, when we get on a groove, and especially if you're triggered. I think a lot of times, like, just, you can answer questions, you can tell a quick story. It's just, you just kind of need that trigger, and that's where your camera person, or if you're doing it yourself, you have your little note and you look at your iPhone and you go, okay, talk about this situation, or talk about that situation, or this tip or that tip. Works very well. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I do. I'm going to be working on blocking off Fridays now for content shooting. Even though Wednesdays, like now Wednesdays, I'm probably planning on moving this room to Wednesdays, and that because we do our YouTube live on Wednesdays as well. And I'm just wondering, okay, and this is again something I'm going to test. Because I also want to make best use of Alex, our videographer, because he comes in and we film all this stuff separately so that we can pull short form content and additional content from it, so we always get different angles. And it's like, should I have him here on Tuesday for Clubhouse and then Wednesday for YouTube, or can we just consolidate? Does that skew the audience to where we'll get less people because they're on the same day? So these are all the questions and things that I think about and ask myself. But then I'm like, okay, but if I can be here on Wednesday and Travis would like to shoot office reels on Wednesday, so could we just get Alex one day in the office to knock all this stuff out, do Clubhouse, do live YouTube, do reels, do short form content? He spends a whole day here instead of coming here 2 different half other days and kind of piecing stuff together. Because if we don't have to have him here and he can be editing, which we have him always backed up on editing, there's always something he can be working on. And that's in addition to like our YouTube channel. So just from conferences and property tours and things like that, he's completely backed up. So we're looking at, okay, do we consolidate his time? And so these are all, time efficiency measures and things that we're working on as well, and we're always thinking through. But I'm also thinking about the audience and the viewer and the listener, and do we sacrifice that for our own efficiency? But at the same time, it's like, well, if the people, if they want to join in, they'll join in. And I think people are available in the morning that are not available in the afternoon, which we do the YouTube live on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. So, and vice versa. If they come to the YouTube live, maybe they're not available in the morning. And I don't know if there's ever really a good set time. I mean, we have a pretty consistent audience here each week, which is really nice to have. But these are the things we think about. We're always thinking about the viewer, and that goes back to publishing YouTube videos as well. Ultimately, what we found, and this is what YouTube tells us as well, is that our audience is typically on YouTube in the evenings, Sunday nights, Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, all very good time. And so that's when we have finalized. Now what we're looking at doing is possibly publishing on Saturday at noon, so that we have a Sunday night at 5 p.m., Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m., and then Wednesday or Saturday at let's say 11 or 12. Because in this market, our strategy is to be more visible, to stay extra consistent, not just consistent, but we're like, can we put out more content to be more visible, to show people we're working harder and we have more options? Something else, Justin, you might want to try. We've one of our pieces of content now is the lives. We're doing lives on Tuesday night. I would love to get you on. We could do a little Canada versus the U.S. real estate on a Tuesday evening if you're open for that. Maybe we could book that out in the next couple of weeks. and where we talk about real estate. Real estate in Canada. We talk about real estate in Dallas. We've been kind of doing these versus these live streams. So we did Dallas versus Houston. We had one of our partners in Houston. We did versus Atlanta. So we had one of our Atlanta partners there. We're doing California tonight. So it gives you options to increase content, do it live, and that helps you, I think right now too, in this market when everything's kind of up and down and sideways, it seems like, and people are just unsure. I like that live component now. This is not something we did before, but this is like our own live radio show, your own live talk show. I mean, you have the power to produce that in your city on YouTube, to go live, to take questions. We get a ton of interaction on there, and we always get usually like 2 or 3 leads the next day. And they reach out directly from the live stream, or they say specifically, hey, we were watching your live stream last night. And because people, when they comment, we answer their questions, but then we don't answer them a lot of times, because we'll say, hey, look, that's a great question to discuss in private. You should give us a call. And then, Chrissy's on there monitoring things with us, and so she'll post the phone number or post our link or our Zoom link. So she's in there kind of like every time somebody asks a question, she'll say like, great, and then we answer their question, most of the way. And at the same time, we do believe that each of those conversations can be unique. So we always encourage them to give us a call or shoot us a text, and then we're posting that in the chat. And every single Wednesday for the last few weeks, we've gotten 2 to 3 reach outs directly mentioning the live stream. So I think that's a huge opportunity right now too for people in their market to stay visible and to answer questions, and especially with rates the way they are, kind of going back and forth. And now new inflation numbers came out, and the market tanked yesterday. I mean, all those types of things are just good to keep up. And I think it's really cool too. You'll be able to go back and reference this. I mean, we're probably the only ones that care about real estate history, but think about in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, as long as YouTube's still there, and we are, then, you'll be able to go back and be like, man, remember we did this live stream with Justin? That was so cool. And we talked about the real estate market. Things were, man, we'll be like, remember when interest rates were 6%? That was so awesome. They'll probably be like 20% at that. Who knows? But yeah, we'd love to have you on, Justin, if you're open for that. And on a Tuesday evening sometime. I'm not sure how your Tuesdays evenings are, but if you'd be open, if you're there. But hey, what's up, Armando? What you up to today? Are you there, Mr. Armando?
I am. Howdy, what's happening? Sorry, I'm calling expired right now. But yeah, I like all this conversation. You just like rocking it out with everything, because you're, going through it. It's clean and concise. This is what I like. And so I like the consistency bit, with what you and guys saying is key. There was like a couple weeks I did 2 videos in 1 week. So I'm trying to spread it out with like educational and my listing videos. I recently got a drone, so I'm throwing a lot of cool aerial shots. I'm trying to work with some ND filters on the drone to make the picture a little clear. But I guess my question is, if I remember right, so my listing videos, I'm doing the last one I did, I'm about to finish up the edits with my VA. This one's going to be like a dinner party setting with friends. So I was just going to shoot that at you to see your thoughts on not just the photos and the video of the property inside, but highest and best use of the property, like having dinner, a dinner party with friends, and imagining, their family and friends, and now the holidays coming through, on seeing that image versus just kind of I wouldn't say basic, but like the stuff that we always see with the listing videos, getting a little more views or callbacks on what videos you'll have done and tested. But yeah, question.
Well, my initial reaction is based off what you just told me is that I think what would really work really well. I mean, for us, we try to incorporate a little bit of the area in the beginning, to make a listing evergreen, try to incorporate a little bit of the area, neighborhood, a little bit of an intro, and then to go inside. But I think with what you're doing, if you're doing a dinner party, I think that you may want to film all of that and use it as B-roll. So when you're doing your property tour on your own and the house is empty, you could say, now we just, imagine, or you could say, we hosted a dinner party here the other night, and imagine if this was your friends and your family. So you're touring them through the house, but you're stopping at certain points. And you're saying, imagine having all your friends and your family, or having Thanksgiving or something like that right here at this table. And then you cut in, clips from that dinner and show everybody around there, just having a good time. And then when you're in the kitchen and you have shots of like people hanging around the island and getting something out of the fridge, and you're like, yeah, everyone likes to always hang out here in the kitchen and have a good time. And so you kind of tell that story of the home, and then you paint that picture of, imagine yourself and your family and your friends right here, but then you cut in all that B-roll of the, the people actually there. I think that would be very powerful.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like the narrative. Probably now I just put it in the caption, but I think I did a little bit of both of what you're saying, because there is a golf course that runs in the neighborhood. So, and I captured the front of the subdivision sign, which is super nice. It's kind of a historical like neighborhood.
All right, yeah, that would be awesome. I think that would be the way to go. And did you already film it, or you're going to?
Yeah, we filmed it already. I just did a bunch of 4 video shots of it. Of like, there's 2 living rooms and a nice formal dining and a kitchen. So yeah, I mean, I pieced it all together, and I did the front presentation in front of the subdivision sign, which is nice. And I threw in the golf course drone aerial to kind of capture the golf course, the neighborhood golf course. So I threw in a lot of and it's not like, it's it's decently organized. It's not like it's scatterbrain or unorganized. To me, it is, at least it isn't to me. It's kind of pieced together where, oh, cool, it's a golf course, and it's the front of the home, and it's the interior, and then, oh yeah, this looks like it's like a little dinner party, atmosphere, and so that, so I kind of threw a lot of things in there that can piece it together on featuring all parts of the area, the neighborhood, I talk about the pool, the basketball courts, all the amenities, the HOA covers, and then towards the middle end, I go into the dinner party scene, not too long, and then I did kind of the drone shot where it goes from behind the tree to in front of the tree to kind of give it that open up, front face house look feel to it. So I did all that, but yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, cool. Well, I'm look forward to seeing it. So that sounds. See how it goes. Did you publish it already, or is it just edited?
Yeah, we just got one more edit, one little tiny edit. But yeah, I'm getting it back in probably next 15-20 minutes. And then everything's good. So yeah, we're just doing that. So I'm just trying to you say be consistent. I like the interior, videos, and this. I just think that a lot of agents do that. I want to be different, and I want to like you say, capture the neighborhood, capture the area. There's 10 key neighborhoods in Houston, to like inside the city, to outside the loop, even more outside the loop, to the country, So yeah, I'm all about that, and kind of getting people attracted, not just to the home, because they're not just buying the home, they're buying the area as well. And that was my main driving point on doing the golf course, the amenities, and then of course from the street view to what the aesthetics of the home, and then what the home, typically can be used for, not just living, but having company over and everything. So.
Cool. Well, look forward to it, man. You should post it in the Facebook group, and happy to check it out, and looking forward to seeing that one. So, all right, I think we're gonna wrap up today. I'm just now checking the chat, so I don't I'm typically gonna.
What's the Facebook group called? I don't think I'm part of it.
Oh, The Real Agents. So REEL Agents.
Okay, cool. I may be. Okay, yeah, I'm not. No, I just asked to be part of it. So.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Hey.
All right. Well, all right, guys. See a couple of questions. Let me see. Workflow or script outline for Reels. Yeah, I think the best thing to do is to make notes in your iPhone as you go throughout your day. I think every conversation you have with a client, every think about agents, all of that is potential. It's like, but what you have to do, you have to be intentional. I believe every agent is creating 100 pieces of content a day. It's just a matter of whether you decide to document it or not. So if you have a conversation with an agent and you're negotiating a contract, after you get done negotiating that contract or talking to them, you stop. It doesn't matter if you're in your house, in your office, in your car, you stop and you go, okay, what was the teachable lesson here? What could I share with somebody else? What did I learn from this situation? And you could probably find one or two things if you sat there just for 3 to 5 minutes and thought about what's the learning opportunity from that conversation. And then you're like, okay, this and this. Well, the agent said this and I said this, or the agent tried to not, open up to me, but I asked him like 4 times, to help me understand. But there's probably 2 or 3 little nuggets that you could pull out. And then it's simply is like, you don't have to be fancy. You could do all this on your iPhone, in your car, in your home office, in a coffee shop, doesn't matter. And then you pull it out right there. You could either choose to record it right that second, or you make a note in your iPhone. And now that's going to be harder to remember if you're not going to film for another week or 2. But if you're going to do that and you stop in, and you have a videographer and you're going to work with them, then you pull out your notes and you're like, okay, this situation happened. I'm going to talk about this, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if you really want to script everything out, but I do believe that it's usually best regurgitated naturally. And it's just you just need that little reminder, that little trigger, that little tick to make you go, okay, I know what that is. But it's so simple, I think, throughout your day. Get a good little microphone for your iPhone, and each conversation, if you really want to be intentional, especially with short form content, I think that's the easiest thing to do, is to stop after any conversation with a client, customer, potential client, agent, escrow, loan officer, title person, and stop and say, okay, what did I learn from this conversation, or what could I help somebody learn from this conversation? Oh, I know, one little nugget right there, and boom, hit record on your phone and be done with it. Wrap it up into 60 seconds or less, and you've got yourself a reel. Think about all the conversations, all the interactions, everything you do every single day, and you probably have 100 pieces of content. Again, it's just a matter of whether you decide to document it or not. And if you do that throughout your day, then let's say you end up filming 10 reels a day. Could you imagine that? 10 reels a day throughout your day, and you have 300 reels a month. Then you have plenty of, and then if you have just an editor, which is a lot less expensive than a videographer, and you have an editor that just adds some cool captions or some good music and then sends it back to you, and then you upload it, 1 or 2 or 3 a day, and you'll be good to go. Think about it. If you recorded 300 reels a month and posted 3 a day, you would only post 1/3 of what you filmed. 1/3 of what you filmed in a month, you would posting at 3 reels a day. And you wonder, how do other people do that? How can they consistently pump out 2 or 3 reels a day? That's how they're doing it. Number one, they're either documenting all through their day, or they're sitting down for a full day. I think that's probably actually a little bit more difficult, to sit down for 12 hours a day and just record 300 reels. That would be a lot. But each interaction that you have, there's opportunity there, and and it's fresh on the mind. It's fresh on the mind, and you're documenting it. So that's just something I would keep into consideration. So, all right, guys. Well, I think that covers it for today. Armando, thanks for jumping up here with us and asking our question. Looking forward to seeing that. And everyone else, we will see you next week. And check out the podcast above. We have the link. If you missed this recording or missed the first part of this, you can go back. And this is where we republish these for our podcast. All right. So have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching all for free, schedule a call at 5starstrategycall.com.